I make a motion to start the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Okay. This open meeting is broadcast live on youtube.com, WRPS Rockland. It is being recorded WRPS. As far as old business, I'd like to have a motion to approve the advertisement for the superintendent's ad.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Did you guys get a chance to read it?
Yes.
No.
What
We just lost Mr. Hessian.
Oops.
Mr. DeRoss, could you call him maybe?
Okay.
Help him get back on the system?
Yes, I will.
Thank you so much.
I had to find my phone.
Oh, he's back. I see him in the corner.
Yep.
There he is. Thank you very much for attempting. There you are.
I don't see him.
okay.
He's,
That was me. I hit the wrong
Oh,
button.
there you are.
okay.
So guys, what I would say to Doug and Dan, what you want to do is start thinking of questions that you want to ask during the interview. The way it goes, we write them down. Stacy will compile them, and we have to ask the same questions to each candidate. So as you go along, I could have her text you, email you the last questions we asked, so you have them as samples. And you can take it from there. Feel free to add more.
Can I ask, Mr. Chairman, how long the process will take?
I don't know. Stacy's probably going to run it for 2 weeks to a month. Yeah, depending on the applicants.
And then I know the last time there were 4 finalists. Is that the usual?
But that was the first time for me, so that's what I'm expecting. Okay, with that, Elizabeth, it's all yours.
Excuse me, Chuck, can I speak, please?
Sure.
Can you share a copy of the advertisement that you're placing so that I can keep it with the meeting minutes, please?
Okay, I'll have to call that back up. Let me, did Stacy send that to you by any chance?
She did not, but if you want to email it to me on the side, that'd be fine.
Okay, I'll email it to you on the side.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll get it to you before the end of the meeting. With that, Elizabeth, it's all yours. If you want to take it away, we discussed a rate change. One thing I want to let everyone know is that with this moratorium, we really have no revenue coming in. And the biggest future expense I could see down the road within, say, 23 to 25 would be at least, if everything goes accordingly, a $300,000 outlay for a design phase. So that's something just to keep in mind. That, Elizabeth, it's all yours.
Okay. Just to touch base on what we talked about the last time, you have a structural deficit between your revenues and expenses, which is eating away at your fund balance. You have very limited fund balance at this point in time. And as I did a little bit more digging, I'm going to show you the slide that I presented regarding the rate, what my recommendation would be. Okay, so 1 second. Nope, that's the right one. Stop share. I got the wrong one up. Hold on. 1 second. Well, it's going to have to do. It just looks better in a different color, but colors don't matter. It's the money that matters. Okay. So on the screen, you'll see what I'm calling a sewer rate review. And this is showing that your budget for fiscal 22, I figured it was important to show what's going on for fiscal 22 and your potential issues going into 23. And this is your best indicator of what you need to do for budgetary. So in fiscal 22, your budget was 2,663,882. A little bit more digging has shown that your actual billing that you did in 21, which is probably going to be similar to what you'll be doing in 22, was only 2,505,392, which automatically you have a structural deficit in excess of $160,000, or right around 160,000, if you look in this column right here. Now, with that, for 21, you only brought in 2.4 million in user fees. So if you take the 2.4 million in user fees, you're not collecting it. So you're starting out this year, if it goes the same way, you're in a deficit of 260,000. So the rate that you're at right now is 494. And that is down here, and the recommended rate right now, I'm going to give you my best opinion. However, will definitely be subject to change. And the reason it's going to be subject to change is this is just going to barely make your budget. This will not be putting money into your coffers, so to speak, to make your to be able to offset some of your capital expenses you have coming down the pike. This is just going to manage your operating budget. So if you increase right now, your estimated billing at 593 would be 2755. However, the increase, you're only going to get half of that. So you're only going to be recognizing a portion of that funding going from fiscal year 22, because we're halfway through the year. So being halfway through the year, it's making it a little bit difficult to determine the best way to do your rates. But this is a good way to look at it. So I'm just bringing up another screen so I can look at it. So if we go to the target rate of 2775, where is that, Doug? I don't know where that one came from. Okay, had a little help with the chart, and that's off a little bit. 593. Anyway, if you go to 593 right now, your estimated increase for a full fiscal year is 342. However, you're only going to collect half of that. So that's going to bring you in 171,000 in revenue, hopefully, for fiscal year 22, which will take you closer, at least get you to the budgeted aspect if we collect all the revenue. So you still have a discrepancy here. What we're looking at for 2023, because we've already gotten preliminary budgets, and I have to work with something because the budgets were due to the selectmen last night and to the FinCom tonight. So they've received preliminary budgets. So based on the data available for 23, your budget is 2,982,070. And that budget includes
Please, excuse me, could you give me that number again, please?
Sure. 2,982,070.
Okay, thank you.
And what's included in this budget, so you know why there's a significant increase here. Your Suez contract will have an increase due to supply issues and the increase of chemicals, etc. So that's going up contracted services by $100,000. We've also included I&I in this budget, which we had spoken about at the last meeting, because your I&I should be a regularly budgeted item. You should not be dependent on system development fees, etc. Okay, so that is why that is in here. So if you go into your FY23 budget season, which we're working on right now, and go for the 593, that's going to give you $3,006,000, which gives you only a $20,000, $24,000 variance. So in this case, you'd have to, cross your fingers and hope everything works. Another thing that has been looked at, and this is similar in other communities, is that in addition to a rate increase, that you establish a base fee. The town of Abington has a base fee, which is $10 per user. So it'd be $40 per quarter. If we do the $40 per quarter, that's 236,000. And then the additional couple hundred in revenue going into 23, it will start building some funds. But the biggest thing to remember is that you need this rate study. This is a Band-Aid approach, which I'm recommending at this point in time, but this is an approach that needs to be done right away. So minimum
was
593.
Underway.
I'm sorry?
The rate study was approved, so.
Yes, so that should be in process, but it's going to be another 6 to 8 months before you receive that. Holidays are coming up. We've got the summer coming up, you know, so it may be September before you see something in order to review it, analyze it, understand it, and then make educated decisions for the go forward. So.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure, I'll see if I have a quick answer.
Okay, I hope so. There's no doubt a rate increase, a dramatic rate increase is required.
Correct.
At this time, do you also feel, or would you recommend going with the base fee for a user at this time? Or would you suggest with economic times the way they are, is there a way we could basically hold off on that till next year? What is your recommendation?
Well, my recommendation right now is if the base fee should be a standard going forward. Okay. If you want to start building your revenues, if the moratorium's not lifted, if you don't start getting in some development, you're not going to be able to fund any of your projects. And right now with this revenue, you cannot fund any projects. This is just to run the system. Now, if you want to go higher in the rate, your next rate increase would be a 25% increase, which would be $6.18, which would give you a revenue.
You and I are not too far off. The numbers I was juggling around with 606.
606 would bring you at 3 million, between 3,056,000 and 3,081,000. If you go to the 25% increase, you're at 3,131,739. That would allow you a cushion. So that would bring your rate to 618. You're 494 now, 618. So it's about $1.20 increase. And that's based on usage. That's not $1.20 per your bill. So for anybody who's out there listening, if you have your sewer bill, which you get them every quarter, take a look at your bill and multiply your current bill by 25%. And that's what your individual estimated increase will be based on usage. Now, for the future, once you have the rate study done, I would recommend that the commissioners examine the rate each year, and rather than waiting 10 years to do a significant increase, you do an increase each year to, let's say, 3%, or, you know, make it a staggered increase. I know the town of Abington, and thank you, Mr. Hessian, for the information. Back in 2017, there was a rate survey that was done by a company called Ty and Bond for UNC Financial Group. I believe it's University of North Carolina, on sewer rate studies, sewer rate fees. Abington 2017, they had the $10 base fee, and then they had tiered usage. Now the tiered usage, how they have that set up, I'm not sure. It may be based on if you use under so many gallons or cubic feet, then you get a rate that's $5. You use over so many cubic feet, the rate's $7. And we're talking 2017. That's what, 4 years ago?
Yep.
That this rate study was done. And so that potentially could have been based on 2016 rates. So right off the get-go, the average home in 2017 was $640 for the town of Abington was the average bill. Rockland at that time was $539. So and they're a sister community, so we should be relatively close, relatively the same. So this is, you know, what we're looking at. I would, for right now, if you don't want to do both the base fee and the rate, I would take the highest rate at the 25%. And then you can stop building for the future, but this building for the future will not occur until the end of 2023, because you're going to have no money. It goes under certified retained earnings, just like a certified free cash. So your project, it's going to be tricky to get any projects done in 2023. I will work with the superintendent, be it the interim Dave Taylor or the new superintendent, to see what we can do to maybe close out some articles that aren't necessary at this point in time. You need to take a hard look at your current articles. I know that in 2022 town meeting, there was $500,000 worth of articles voted. Do these need to be done right now, or can we postpone those? Can we rescind those articles and reallocate that funding for another use, which is more imminent? I think you have a couple of CWMP projects out there. I know that infrastructure is part of it. So some of these things really need to get a good look at as to what is our priority. What do we need to do to operate? Is it more important that we get the digester boiler fixed and the roof over the digester boiler, or any other, you know, facility upgrades that need to keep something from collapsing? Do we have a reserve so that if I know during this October storm, a force main was torn out of the ground? That's a non-budgeted item. Would you have the money to deal with an emergency? And at this point, I'm going to say you don't. So you have to think of an emergency situation too. You have to have some type of reserve for emergencies on the go forward, and this will help build some of that. But you know, if we can get the rate by vote up to 618, that will bring you revenue, like I said, to $3,031,739.79. And your budget will be your budget is remaining the same, 2,982. So that gives you a couple of $100,000 buffer. It's not a big buffer. It's a tough decision, unfortunately. This is a decision that will need to be deciphered tonight, essentially, to increase the rate.
No, there's no doubt that decision has to be made tonight.
Right. And it's going to be
the thing I struggle with is I'm all, believe me, I'm all in favor of that base fee, but I'm wondering if the timing is right now and all that.
Well, sometimes, and I don't mean to be harsh, sometimes you don't have a choice. You know, do you do the base fee at $10, which will be a $40 bill increase to each of the 5,900 ratepayers? And you do the 20%, which will be based on their bill. If you're a low usage person, the impact may not be that bad, but if you have a high impact, it's going to be bad. You know, I can only provide the best information that I have available, and this is.
No, it's well appreciated, Elizabeth. I mean, this is not an easy thing to think about. Like I was saying, every number I came up with juggling, I came up with a 606 rate. I mean,
right.
And I was just looking at breaking even. Oh, no, not this year. I was just looking, you know, for a full year's worth of break even.
Right, but you may have been looking.
I wasn't more planning on that 2.9.
Right, and that's just it. You have to continue your operations. I cannot be ignored. That needs to be done on a regular basis. It can't be under a capital project. It should be budgetary so that you can go out and recapture the loss on a regular basis. So you can open up your moratorium and you can find more ways for expanding construction in town or something similar like that. I'm not a sewer guru. I'm just going off of the information.
Can I ask a quick question of Rick? Rick, you still on the line?
Yes, Chuck, come on.
What do you see your chemicals going up on for like next year, percentage-wise, ballpark?
Sure.
What have they gone up this year?
Sure. So effective January 1st, our chemicals and sludge are going up 17%. I mean, and Suez gets a great deal, but it's just what the market is, like Elizabeth said earlier. And the other big item I'm very concerned about, obviously before the board makes their decision, is
I'm worried about the phosphorus.
Yeah, so what's going to happen? We're going to have to use additional chemicals, which is going to cause additional sludge. We have no choice when we receive the new NIPD's permit. And from what I'm hearing, we will definitely see that. If possible, it's possible we could see that in 1 month in January. And part of the draft permit of that is we'll do the same. Actually, we have to do some more sampling and additional chemicals. But one of the issues the town is going to have to do, they have 1 year for when this permit hits. So let's just say the permit comes January 2022. So by January 23, the town must install an effluent flow meter. And I've talked to Dave about this. We do not have one. So we're talking about engineering. We're talking about digging manholes, probably extending the effluent pipe.
Yep.
And this is not going to be, and like Elizabeth said earlier, but with my helping you guys, some of these projects probably will have to get juggled around. But I'm just saying right now to the board that that's going to be mandatory. That one's going to jump right to the top of the list.
That flow meter, what I would hope you to start looking into is maybe there's some grants that would allow us to vote on that.
That would go through the superintendent.
Right.
Suez would have nothing to do with that.
No, I know that. What I'm thinking offset that is with them grant funding, where it's going to be forced on us.
Right.
And the other thing, when do we have to start complying with that 0.1 on the phosphorus?
That's actually going to start.
23.
Yeah, it's be 3 years, but we have to April of 2022, which is not far away. We have to try to get to the 0.1 via chemical usage. So they're going to give us a whole season, which will be April 1st through October 31st. We're going to do the best that we can do, best practices, and try to meet that number. Now, will we meet it? Honestly, I don't know. That's why we're going to be doing this 6-month test.
So that you're aware of, Mr. Hessian, and those in the audience, there are regular infrastructure meetings within Town Hall to address the PFAS and other issues that are facing the community for infrastructure for water and sewer. So that includes any grant applications we may be eligible to apply for, any federal funding. So we're doing everything from the town hall side with the superintendents, with Mr. LaPointe from the water.
Okay.
So we're doing everything we can to try and find funding, just to keep you informed that if we can keep the burden off the taxpayer or the ratepayer, that's what we do.
Well, guys, you got some thoughts? Commissioners, Dan?
Could we charge for the commercial more money?
Well, you do not have a tiered rate, and you'd have to do a complete and total analysis on your commercial. You don't have a lot of commercial here in Rockland. Just like on the tax rate, you don't have enough to create a secondary burden to the commercial and industrial, because they aren't your big users. Your big users are residential. So that would be something you cannot implement, in my opinion, at this point. This is something that would have to come out of your rate study. What's the best use of funding? How can we increase our funding and plan for the future?
Doug, you have any thoughts?
Yes, I just want to make clear that property taxes are not used for the operation costs of the sewer department.
Oh, no.
Right.
No.
That's true. We have to depend on these fees.
Correct. And vice versa. We don't just depend on your revenue. You don't depend on ours. So you have to have the fees.
Is there an average quarterly bill currently?
I don't have well, let me see what I have. Average quarterly bills are kind of hard to come up with because of the way it's structured. Let's say average amount of bills Depending on the quarter, it could be $116 per quarter. So you have a 25% increase. What's that? $25. So it could be $100.
$29, $28.
Yeah.
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 Exactly. So,
Okay.
and like I said, it all depends on your consumption and usage.
And you said it would go, if we do the $10 initial fee, you said it would be $40 per quarter. Wouldn't that be $30 per quarter?
Oh, do we bill 4 times a year? I believe, Robin, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes, we bill 4
Okay.
times a year. So the $10 base fee would be $40 a year per user.
Correct.
Oh, $40 per user.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So, and that could add to the revenue, an estimated, if everybody pays on time, $236,000 per year.
36, yep.
Right.
Dave,
And
what's your feeling?
Well, I mean, I know we've been talking about additional articles, you know, moving forward. If we are not budgeted, we like Elizabeth touched base on, we'll be a negative 200. So we'll have to juggle around some of the articles to make the ends meet. We're under full moratorium, so no, we're not working off of any developmental fees or anything that we can use for remediation or I&I. So if you know, it's imperative that we get something in play now. Get your rate study done, you know, next year, and then, you know, maybe you start thinking about a commercial base, you know, and then we go back to that, you know, that $10 base that covers a lot. Without this, there are no articles. Our department works off of the budget, and if you don't have the money in there and you don't have the revenue, there's no articles moving forward, and we're moving backwards. And we're essentially going backwards. So you have to start moving forward here. We all know what's in front of us coming up over the next few years, and we have to pick away at it. And if we don't, we're going to be behind the 8 ball. We're going to be back to year 2000. So I keep preaching infrastructure, and everybody's probably sick of hearing it. And we're not the only town that's behind it right now, but we have to get a hold of it now, and we have to start moving forward. So this is touch base on everything that she needs to. So, you know, you guys have to make a tough decision. It's been a while, but we needed to move on as a department. So
I would recommend at this point that you take the $10 base and the 20% increase. And what that will do is it's not going to be easy. It's going to be difficult, but it's going to help you get back into solvency, which is extremely necessary at this point. And then as we get into capital projects, we need to sit down and eliminate anything that you cannot use, and we can readdress that funding to areas that are more important. Everything's important, there's no doubt, but what's the priority? We have to really look hard and fast.
Liz, could you take that screen down, that slide down, please?
Sure, I can.
Well, the way I'd like to open it up to the public is I'm going to go how my screen looks. And right now I only see 2 people. Kim Kwam and Mr. Long.
And who's Dana's iPad?
I'm here.
Where?
I'm here.
Okay.
Can the people, when they speak, just so that I can understand who they are, if they can show the video, that'd be very helpful. Because if we were in a public meeting, we would be able to see their faces. So I think that might be helpful.
Okay, what I'm going to do is I'll open it up. I'm going to ask to keep this focused on the rates. I need your name, your address, and who you're addressing your question to. Kim Kwam, you want to open it up? No. Mr. Long? Robert Long? Do you have anything you'd like to add? No. Mary?
Yes, Mary Parsons, 754 Union Street. I would like to add, and I would like something added to your agenda on a meeting basis, add the NIPD's permit, the draft NIPD's permit, because That has been out there since August 25th.
Hey, Mary,
And what's in that permit, this pertains to it because it pertains to the I&I.
Right.
That needs to be addressed so that we all know what's going on, because telling people that they're going to pay $40 more and then another percentage on top of that for an estimated bill, we're paying a lot as it is. And Abington is not the same as us. They don't have a sewer treatment plant and they're on Brockton sewer, except for maybe at what, 110 units that are on our sewer system.
Okay, we will be discussing that because that NIPD's permit is going to be playing a lot into the future. There's a lot in that we haven't even touched on.
Chuck, you're gonna have to stay on the agenda items too, because the only agenda item you have right now.
That's right. That's what I'm trying to do is keep it on the rate. I want to keep it on to the rate.
Actually, you can put on a thing at the bottom of your agenda that says, and for any reasonably anticipated subjects that were within the 48 hours.
Mary, I will do that.
You're gonna have to do that at the next meeting.
Okay, but tonight is a very touchy meeting on the rate, so I'd like to keep it really focused on this because we do have to make a tough decision.
Do you want to? Does anybody have a motion, or can we make a motion on this so we can move forward?
Guys, you have any more comments you'd like to make, Doug?
No, just that this is going to be an interim action that the board's going to take until we get that rate study complete.
All right.
The rate study is going to be pretty extensive. It's not, as I understand it, not just going to look at what other towns are doing, but a complete evaluation of our needs here in Rockland.
What it's going to take into effect is an awful lot that's going to be in that CWMP as well. There's going to be a lot entailed in that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I kept playing, and I don't like it with that number of 606, but I think I would be the 20% and with the $10 base user fee.
Is that a motion?
I'm going to make a motion that we go with a $10 per quarter user fee and a 20% increase in the rates.
I would second that.
Dan?
I'm all for it.
Okay, I'll take a vote. Dan DeRoss, are you a yay or nay?
All right, I'm for it. Nate.
Mr. Cope?
I'm a yay.
Mr. Hession's a yay as well.
Elizabeth, if you could you just reiterate what that brings that up to? That was the $594 and
Yes.
$10 base fee.
If we go to the 20%, the base is now $593, or the fee is $593 based on the 20%, plus the $10 base.
Thank you.
Okay. So that should help us bring the revenues up to for 2021, 23. What year are we in? 22 and 236.
I'm coming 2.73.
No, hold on. Between the two figures, it's going to bring us roughly $289,000 worth of income for fiscal year 22. That's what the most important thing is right now, is get 22 online.
Okay, I'm looking at a year.
I'm sorry?
What do we have to do as far as research on user fees, as you know, like quantities, limits? Is there anything we could do there? You would think
I am not a sewer person. That may be best
so
served by Dave Taylor.
Dave could contact.
Dave would have to once we put out the rate study, they're going to look at every equitable thing that we have to look at. They'll look at the commercial base. You know, like Doug commented on, it's not thrown together. This is something that's going to take months to do. It's something that the department needs and the town needs, you know, to set forward. So you're literally going to have a company come up with the right criteria where we should be at. They're going to take into account what we're going to have for capital projects. They're going to take into what our upgrades are, what our needs are as a town. So they're going to bring all that in. So everybody's got to be involved. You know, it's it's a big thing that we need to move forward. Like, I know we all touch base on it. You know, nobody wants to go up on rates. Nobody wants to increase any burden to any person in town. But if we don't, there's no articles. We're not moving forward. We're not getting I&I work. Like we touched base on, if you don't have the revenues, you don't have articles, and you can't get anything done. So
Okay.
that's
May I
pretty much.
speak?
Yeah, Robin?
Yeah. I'd just like to clarify that motion so that it has a date for implementation.
If somebody can redo the motion for her, would be helpful, probably.
The motion was
Right. The motion did not include a date, an effective date that we were going to raise the rate.
you want to do it at the beginning of the next quarter, Liz?
It's recommended that you do it effective January 1st.
January 1st is the effective date.
Would you like to vote on that?
Yep. Do I have I'll make a motion that effective date will be January 1st. Do I have
I will second.
All in favor, Mr. DeRoss?
Yay.
Mr. Cope?
Yay.
Mr. Hashins, a yay. Motion carries. Effective January 1. Liz, thank you.
Chuck, could you, one other item, Chuck, I know you have on your agenda, you have Thursday, December 15th for the next meeting. Could you clarify that? Thursday is actually December 16th.
16th.
Okay.
Right.
So I would go the 16th. I was going to see if, you know, if we had that DCWMP to sign and things of that nature, just a real quick catch-up meeting.
Yeah, that's going to have to still, the CWMP still has to go over to legal. So if I haven't been brought up to date on that, so if somebody wants to bring me up to date on that,
yeah, Chris and John Clifford looked at it. The only thing that changed, I thought, to keep it clean, I said to put on the a December date, because we were still carrying. One was out there from May 23rd, and the last one was that Chris and John looked at was dated July 27th. So I just had them update, you know, I just had Wright Pierce bring up a current date. And the only other change was the was a public meeting to go over the findings. They were saying shareholders, and I wanted the shareholder route to say a public meeting. But that should be a quick meeting next week, just to catch up on some things.
Okay.
What was the date again? Was it Thursday next week?
December
I thought it was
December 16th.
16th, Dave said.
Is that 7 p.m. again?
Yeah.
All
right. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Liz, thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much
Yes,
for your
thank you.
consideration.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
That the meeting's end. Rick, before you go,
You're still being recorded. You may want to get off recording.
Oh, okay. No, I was just going to ask a general question about the end of month for November.
Your meeting has ended, so don't ask the question.
You're still you're going against the open meeting law.
That's right.
Okay, Rick,
I'll
I'll
bring that up. Put it on the agenda for next Thursday.
Okay, we'll do.
Thank you.
Guys,
Thank you all.
Good night.
Night.
Okay. Thank you.